Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call our city council meeting to order for November the 21st of 2023. It is 6:01. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Carter,
Present.
Councilmember Garcia,
Present.
Councilmember Oliva,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Marroquin,
Present.
Mayor Cardenas Singh.
Present. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have the privilege of having a special guest. He is our assistant mayor for this evening. Why don't we go ahead and have you introduce yourself? Will you say your name and the school that you're at and your grade?
I'm I'm Josiah Simsrat. I go to Korfman School and I'm in fourth grade.
So really excited to have this opportunity. I had the opportunity to meet Josiah about 2 years ago, and every time I've talked to him, he says his goal is to be mayor one day. So I thought we'd have this great opportunity for me to have an assistant. And what's going to happen this evening is Mr. Josiah is going to go ahead and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will have invocation led by City Council member Ms. Sonia Carter. So at this time, please, if I can ask you to rise.
Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I please ask that we remain standing for invocation.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you just simply saying thank you. Thank you for our youth, Lord. We just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing them to step up and stand in, Lord. We're asking you just to take care of everybody during the Thanksgiving break, Lord. Put your hands on the family. Bless those who have and bless those that don't have. We all have something to be thankful for. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. So at this time, we'd like to thank you so much for assisting me today, and I appreciate you stepping up and being such a great leader. Thank you so much for leading us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Can I have a round of applause, please? All right. Thank you, family. We appreciate it. Thank you. It's always amazing to see our youth willing to step in and be our future
Yes.
leaders. So another big round of applause for him, please.
Yes.
Thank you. I know it could be pretty scary up here, and let me tell you, he just owned it, and I appreciate
Yes.
that. I love it. All right, Madam City Attorney, if you could please report out on closed session.
Madam Mayor, there is no reportable action from closed session. In addition, if I believe that you would like to add an item at the end of the meeting regarding a Christmas tree ornament program or event, if that could be added by vote of the council. Is it item number 12, Norma?
9A, please.
9A, okay. Item number 9A.
Thank you, council members, and I just like to take this opportunity to introduce the ornament program that I'd like to share with you. It's a partnership that we are looking to have with the Ivy Regional Chamber to support local business owners during the holiday season. So may I please have a motion to add item 9A?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, will we vote on computer today or roll call vote?
You're going to vote by computer, Madam Mayor, but for this one is a roll call vote.
All right, wonderful. Then we have a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by City Council Member Edgar Garcia. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll call vote.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Oliva,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Marroquin,
Yes.
Mayor Cardenas Singh.
Yes, thank you. That item passes 5-0. All right. With that, we'll move us on to public comment. This is a public meeting. If there is an item on the agenda on which you wish to be heard, you are asked to complete a blue speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council are not required to identify themselves. However, this information assists the mayor by ensuring that all persons wishing to address the council are viewed in the council meeting minutes. When the item is announced and your name is called by the mayor, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. If you wish to address the council concerning any other item not appearing on the agenda, you may do so during public comment portion of the agenda. However, you may not show a visual presentation without review of that material. If you do so, you will be considered out of order. Madam City Clerk, I do have one blue speaker slip. Anyone online or remote, or any additions?
None other, Mayor.
All right, at this time, please, if I can ask Mr. Marty Elliott. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to all of you. Thank you for all that you do and hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, time.
Thank you.
Being thankful to God and all the blessings that we have. I see Hilton here and I know that he's gonna be up soon about Black Lives Matter, Imperial Valley. And I've talked to Hilton. I mean, I've conversed about him with this. He's assured me clearly that all lives matter. And I don't think there's anyone in this room that would disagree with that statement, that all lives matter. So I'm very thankful for, Hilton making that clear. I think the national organization BLM cannot say that. They cannot say all lives matter, I don't think. So I'm very thankful that we're gonna have, Hilton here and so I don't get a chance to talk to Ms. Thomas, but she would feel the same way, say the same thing. All life is sacred. All of us are born and made in the image of God with a body, eternal soul, eternal spirit. He has made all of us. And I'm just thankful for that. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. All right, council members, at this time, we are on the consent agenda items 1 through 6 on our agenda. Thank you. Motion has been made by Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by Councilmember Tomas Oliva. Please vote. Thank you. That item passes 5-0. Next on our agenda is new business, community sponsorship for Black Lives Matter Imperial Valley, presentation by Cedric Cesena, City Manager.
Good evening, Honorable Madam Mayor and council members. Before you, we have a community sponsorship request from Black Lives Matters Imperial Valley. This is before you for discussion and necessary action. For background, the current balance on the account for community sponsorships sits at $1,488. For discussion, Black Lives Matters, the Imperial Valley approached and requested a cash sponsorship for its We Are Our Brother's Keeper comedy show scheduled to happen on December 16 here in the city of El Centro. The proceeds of this event will be dedicated to providing essential winter clothing, hygiene items, and products, water, and food for support of the homeless population in the city of El Centro. The city manager's office reviewed the application. Staff made sure that the requirements of the policy statement have been met. Yourself, as well as Councilmember Carter, reviewed the request, and Councilmember Carter has made a recommendation that council consider a sponsorship in the amount of $500. There were 3 different levels for sponsorship that were brought forward by the BLM, 2,728, 1,400, and 1,000 respectively. At this point, in conclusion, we're seeking direction and any necessary action in order to get this requested cash sponsorship processed.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, council members, the recommendation is for a $500 sponsorship for Black Lives Matter. Motion has been made by Councilmember Tomas Oliva, seconded by Councilmember Ms. Sonia Carter. Please vote. Thank you. That item passes 5-0. All right, moving us on to item number 8, establishment of priorities for CDBG program for the year of 2024-2025. Community Development Block Grant Funding Cycle. Ms. Adriana Nava, Community Services Director.
Sorry, didn't open the folders. Hello, Honorable Mayor and Council. This item is to go over our CDBG priorities. Annually, we come to the Council and ask what we will be prioritizing for the following year. And so you may recall that with CDBG, we have 3 main national objectives. So the program funding must benefit at least 51% to low to moderate income persons, aid in the prevention or elimination of slum or blight, or meet other community needs that present a serious and immediate threat to the health or welfare of the community. This included things like COVID. And so overall, we have used program funding for different activities, including parks. We've included funding for other, for fire stations, for police stations. That type of funding is eligible through CDBG. So our program process, we come to you for the 5-year consolidated plan, and then annually we have a plan where we include some of our goals and objectives. And then every single year we evaluate whether we met those targets through the CAPER, which is the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. So again, these are the eligible activities. It includes different criteria: housing activities, public facilities, public services, and then there are other eligible activities like code enforcement, which we've used some of the funding for. Ineligible activities include any type of general maintenance, general equipment purchases are not allowed. So that's where that's at. And then just as to what type of funding is typically already expended, fair housing is a requirement that is required to be funded annually, and that amount is about $47,250. In addition to that, we have planning administration, which is 20% of the grant, and then program income. So all said and done, total available is about $417,000 for this next program year. So the previous year, what you funded were housing, public services to our various nonprofits such as Catholic Charities, code enforcement, public facilities. McGee Park was funded, a portion of it was funded through CDBG, and then planning administration, which are the personnel costs to offset some of the staff time that's used on the program. So staff here is just requesting direction as to how you will move forward for this next program cycle. I know in our last program cycle, we did speak about sidewalks heavily. So that's something that you can continue to lean on for that type of funding, which will allow us to have a larger pool of funds so that we can do a significant project. I know Abraham and myself have recently discussed 12th Street, since it will be going across. That area is lacking curb and gutter. And so we are looking at maybe using this to leverage some funds. But any other items that you would like to prioritize, now would be a great time. There is really no action other than your prioritization tonight. So I'll let our mayor discuss.
All right. At this point, council members, do we have any questions for Ms. Adriana Nava in regards to the allocations that are being presented before us?
So no allocation of funds today, just how you guys want to prioritize as we move forward. This is the list from the previous year, just to give you an idea as to what activities you funded.
I think we're just still reviewing them here just a little,
Sorry.
Ms. Adriana, as we're going through them.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I do have a comment.
Yes.
If I may. Thank you. So Adriana, at least for myself, I would say that I know that in the past we relied on CDBG and we did allocate for Parks and Recreation, but we've been doing a lot of that with Measure P, right?
Yes.
And so I do want to recall, as you mentioned, the fact that we had, for a reason, shifted away from sidewalks, allocation for sidewalks, and and certain improvements at the time, but we had stated that our intent was to go back and either balance that out or as a wave kind of pick up for not having done so for a certain number of years. Again, for a reason. I know COVID and other things were one of the reasons why we strayed to assist businesses and whatnot. So I would like to, again, echo my wish and that we anchor on some of those things so that we're not, what I'm saying is that the allocation be at a level that is realistic to accomplish something, because I know that sidewalks are expensive, right? And I see Abraham shaking and nodding his head in the back there. So I just want to be realistic in our intent here, that we have an amount that equates to being able to deliver something, as opposed to patting ourselves on the back at a number and then realizing that that's not really going to bring in not even a block worth of sidewalk, right? So I don't know what that amount is. I leave that to you to figure out what.
Yes, and we will return with amounts. We just were looking at priorities. Sidewalks is definitely one that we've had a couple of discussions on, and we thought, as staff as well, that sidewalks are definitely needed. And not just sidewalk, but curb and gutter as well, because they go hand in hand. So that was an area that we agree with you. We did include some funding for sidewalks the last fiscal year, and we're hoping to combine and do a project where, because with CDBG, it federalizes the project. And so it has different requirements, and it layers the requirements as well. So we think that a substantial project allows us to do the environmental and all the other things, and is worthy for a contractor to do a sidewalk project in El Centro.
So I appreciate that. That's my only comment as it relates to capital improvements. My last comment will be on the public services, and that is, I remember we used a lot of money for takeoff money for Catholic charities, right?
We did.
Right. And we normally set aside some funding for applicants such as PAL and others for sports. But Mr. Garcia, in his vision, created a program for us to do that using Measure P funding, right? So what I'd like to see is us pivot or recalibrate on how we are going to have enough funding for other public services that cannot access other funding. Like, this is their only available funding source, right? Or maybe even advertising or bringing in some other public service organizations that originally have never had an opportunity. But I just do want to recognize that this council has created other funding opportunities for other organizations, and so we don't want to leave anybody out.
Understood. Yes. One of the challenges in the past has been some of the objectives that they must help or assist low to moderate income persons in El Centro. Some of our programs have had a bit of a greater challenge in proving that. And so I think that as we move forward with this next process, we can assist them in educating them a little bit more so they're better prepared to respond to the RFP that will be going out. So, and I'm thinking a previous applicant that has received minimal funds, I think is IVLGBT is an example that I can think of, or the domestic violence program, one of them, I can't remember at the top of my head, but some of them have received less funds. And so we would definitely invite them and work with them so they understand the process.
Thank you.
All right, council members.
Just one comment
Yes.
regarding the public services, and I wanted to point that out. That was very correct, in that we did create something else for the sports teams that normally would come and request that sort of funding. So we want to make sure that it's available for other types of services, other types of nonprofits that fall under that. But we don't want to ignore the organizations that have previously applied and received funding. However, one thing that I've noticed in the past that we've been lacking with these return applicants is that we never get an accounting of how they spent our money that was previously awarded. So that's something that I definitely want to fix. I believe this council wants to be as transparent as possible with where this funding goes, because it is taxpayer money essentially. So we need to have an accounting as to how that grant money was being spent to whoever we award it to. If they're new and coming in, then they should be giving us a proposal as they normally do. But if they've received funds in the past, then they should have documented proof of how it was spent.
And we can provide you with that information. We do require them to give us the receipts for everything. And then there are times, for example, with Catholic Charities, I believe we require them, and the council has required this, that 80% of the funds be used towards purchase of food.
Yes.
So things like that you can also include as part of the discussion that we incorporate, and therefore sets additional criteria for the applicant.
Oh, the senior food program is something that I think everybody here has supported for
Mhm.
years. And that's something that we've always tried to allocate as many funds to as possible, because it essentially just creates more plates and they're always used. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I'm glad we're keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and I agree with Councilmember Garcia, that we've traditionally continued to fund or to at least, contribute to the senior nutrition program. So I'm in favor of that as well.
Yeah. And how about code enforcement? I know that's also one of our greater costs. We see great benefit from it. I want to make sure that's still a priority for the council.
Adriana, I'll just share, in taking into account the phone calls that I receive, we had a lot of phone calls about sidewalks needing improvement. And then, of course, phone calls that we receive from residents who may see code enforcement that needs to come out and take a look at. Maybe there is a need for court enforcement to come out and just make sure that we are following, or that the neighbors are following code enforcement, or business owners and so forth. And so those, for me, as far as phone calls are concerned, those are the phone calls that seem to be a priority when I'm receiving any type of feedback from the community. Ms. Carter, anything?
I agree. I agree with what you were just saying right now. It's the people and their voice and what they're saying. And you hear a lot about the sidewalks, a lot of complaints about the sidewalks, especially where there's a lot of activity by the schools or by the parks or by the stores, or where there's a lot of activity, you hear a lot of complaints. So yeah, I agree with you, Madam Mayor.
Very good. Anything else, council member?
The last thing that I thought about was, I remember seeing some slides, Adriana, once upon a time, when you give us like a mid fiscal year update, and you'll show us that from that point, this is how much was allocated, this is how much has been used. And I don't know if it was code enforcement or others, but if there's an amount that you have seen traditionally that we would allocate and it is not entirely used, to take a look at that and see if it's possible to then move some of that funding into another category.
Okay. Yes. The only thing I do have to be careful is we have to do a substantial amendment if it's a substantial amount of dollars. Can't remember the percentage right now. But yes, agreed.
Okay.
And I think as we come back, I think the position has been to emphasize we will continue the 15% for public services, but then the remaining of that maybe going towards sidewalks. And that way we'd have a large enough project and we can move forward with that. And then we have other income sources that we can use towards sidewalks. I think it's a worthy cause. And, I walk the city too, just along Buckland alone, those sidewalks. There's different panels that, need some work.
Great. Any other suggestions, feedback, or recommendations for Ms. Nava? All right, Ms. Nava.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right. Moving on to item 9A. So I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you the discussion that took place today. So today we had the opportunity to highlight and showcase through KYMA our Christmas tree lighting that's going to take place on December the 1st there at Fire Station 3. We invited Ms. Terry Rogers to come out and be part of the interview process as we prepared to share that information. Thank you. Share that information with the community and to invite them. And as we're having that discussion, something that Ms. Terry Rogers shared with me is that we have been doing the Christmas tree lighting, and I mean we as the city of El Centro, for over 30 years. And the purpose and the meaning for the Christmas tree lighting was really started with the intent of showcasing local businesses. So local businesses would come and they would hang their business ornament on the business on a tree, and gave us an opportunity to showcase many of the businesses that are here in El Centro. And why I'm bringing this before you is we would like to bring back that tradition, to be good stewards to many of the business owners that we have here in the city of El Centro, and a partnership with Ivy Regional Chamber. It would take place, the Christmas tree that is here located and put up here at City Hall, and allowing local business owners to come in, bring their Christmas ornament. The Christmas ornament could be turned in either at the city manager's office, or it can be turned in at Ivy Regional Chamber. And then we would then put that Christmas tree ornament up, and we would show, right, one, support for local businesses, and also giving the opportunity to show support for us to shop locally as well for some of our business owners. And so I wanted to share that with you and wanted to see how you thought or felt about that collaboration. One, really highlighting local business. Two, having this collaboration and this opportunity to revitalize this activity and this tradition here in the city of El Centro. So with that, I'm open to questions, suggestions, or recommendations.
You know, one thing that I also recall is that the El Centro Christmas Parade was always referred to as the El Centro Merchants Christmas Parade. Yeah, I remember that, you know, in past years, you know, it's just kind of a slight change. And so it gave local businesses an opportunity to showcase their business along the parade route. So I think it just goes hand in hand with the Christmas ornament project. So I think it would, and the Christmas parade is the next morning.
Yeah.
You know.
So the project would then, starting December the 1st, we would be taking the opportunity for business owners to come in, drop off their Christmas ornament, their business ornament, and then this would take place for the entire month of December. And I would like to say, you know, December the 20th would be the cutoff date as far as bringing in an ornament. I think it's a great opportunity. Businesses could also, you know, come to City Hall and take a picture and so forth. And for all the business that we do here in the city of El Centro, as individuals come in and do business here, I think it's a great opportunity to showcase the many merchants and business owners that we have in our community. So just for clarification, Madam City Attorney, does this require a vote? You're muted, Miss Betsy.
Oh, my husband's dream. Sorry. I think
That won't go in the
think
minutes. That won't go in the minutes.
as long as what you're hearing is council support, I think it's an informational item, Madam Mayor.
All right, sounds good. I just wanted to make sure we checked off all the boxes. So with that, just
But indeed.
taking a look at, and do I see nodding from my fellow colleagues to move forward?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support.
Mhm.
All right, moving on to item number 9 on our agenda, which is Military Equipment Use Ordinance 2023, Chief Robert Sawyer.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor.
Oh, good evening.
Stepping in on behalf of the chief.
Wow.
What you have before you is an annual renewal of our military equipment use ordinance, AB 481. As required, annually, we are to submit a list of our military equipment that we used, very similar to what was submitted last year. Along with that is a summary of our military equipment use. With that, the police department is looking to purchase an additional 30 rifles, and that's to replace outdated rifles that we have in our inventory. Additionally, in the summary, it talks about military equipment that we used in the course of our duties, which would be 3 incidents involving the use of our less lethal shotgun. Those incidents are summarized in that summary. It also covers any cost that is associated with the use of the military equipment, which is very similar to what was submitted last year. You will see that our armored vehicle, referred to as the Bearcat, the model that it is, we upgraded its ballistic windows. Other than that, if you have any questions regarding the equipment list or the summary of the military equipment, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
And thank you so much. Council, at this time, do we have any questions in regards to what's been presented to us this evening?
No questions. I think Tomas and I had the opportunity to go through it thoroughly when we discussed it previously. It seems that this is the same request, same ordinance with just some little tweaks regarding some outdated equipment, which, I don't think we had an issue with, and I believe we had recommended it to the council.
All right. Anyone else?
I would just echo Mr. Garcia's comments, and I think I've been very clear that I've been probably the most vigilant and sensitive when it comes to authorizing military style equipment for a police department. But even with that said, none of the changes are substantive. And as you mentioned, the replacement of rifles, those are still pieces of equipment that are currently allowed. So replacement is not adding to, right? And we're not expanding anything. And so to the folks that might be concerned about what this looks like, I could assure you that it's not a substantive change. And then this is a reauthorization that has to happen every year. And as we mentioned last year, this is something that the state decided to place on individual cities and municipalities and jurisdictions because they didn't want to do it at the statewide level, right? So they just kind of put it on us. So we're good with where you're at. I know Mr. Garcia and I are good with the list because it's not significantly different than what we approved last year.
Thank you. All right. At this time, it's to introduce ordinance number 23-06 to uncodified ordinance of the City Council of the City of El Centro approving the first renewal of ordinance number 22-06 regarding the continuing use of annual military equipment pursuant to the policy of the El Centro Police Department. All right. So that motion was made by Councilmember Edgar Garcia, seconded by myself, and that item passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. There's no legislative action at this time. Informational items are included in your packet, which are items 10 and 11 under informational items. With that, colleagues, I will move us on to task force reports. Ms. Carter, would you like to start us?
Yes. Good evening. I will start with our State of the City outstanding event. I'm sure our mayor is going to elaborate on that. The police department groundbreaking. Very, very nice. And it was a lot of people there. A lot of people I hadn't seen in a long, long time. So this was a very, very nice groundbreaking event. The Veterans Day program. Awesome. Every year it seems like more and more people are coming out and showing their support. So it was a very nice event. The McGee ribbon cutting, very beautiful. That place is going to be outstanding. The community is really, really, really impressed and looking forward to what's left to come. So they're really looking forward to that. And then we did have a special city council meeting. And that concludes my report.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Councilmember Tomas Oliva?
Madam Mayor, there were plenty of events, and I know that many of you will all cover it. So I will yield to you all and just close and just say happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Oh, yes, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Sorry.
Wonderful.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Garcia?
Yes, there were many events. I'm sure they'll be highlighted by everyone. I just wanted to briefly state that the staff and everybody at the city of El Centro, they did an amazing job with the state of the city. I'd like to congratulate our Madam Mayor for giving that speech. It was a wonderful evening at our new library facility. It was enjoyed by everybody I spoke to, and it was just a wonderful thing to have at an accomplishment that we discussed when it was built, and to actually use the facility and to have it there was just really something special. Also, the Veterans Day event at Buckland Park at our Veterans Memorial, that was another great event. Again, I would echo your remarks that it is being attended by more and more people every year. I love that little facility that we have built there right in Buckland Park. It's so majestic, and it's the perfect place to have an event like that. So I really enjoyed bringing my family to that. And other than that, I attended the National League of Cities City Summit with my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Sylvia Marroquin in Atlanta, Georgia. That was a massive event. It was the biggest city summit to date, with over 5,000 elected official attendees from all over the country. It was a large event, one of the biggest conference centers that I've ever seen, and it encapsulated the entirety of just one of the three buildings. That's how big the conference center was. But the conference was amazing. There was a lot of good information, a lot of educational portions that spread out some issues that all municipalities are dealing with, and the networking was great. The incoming President David Sanders is actually from California, so the reception for him was thrown by the League of California Cities. So we got to see a lot of familiar faces there. And it was just a good event. You know, a lot of good information was passed around. We were able to go to the expo hall and speak to different vendors that could have some applicable uses with some of the projects that we have coming up. So that was also very informational. And I'm sure that my colleague has more to say. And also, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope you all enjoy the holiday with your family and give as much thanks as possible for us to be able to enjoy this great weather and, you know, what we have going in the city of El Centro.
Right, Miss Madam Mayor? Miss Madam Mayor
So,
Pro
my
Tem.
gosh, you know, it's like,
We're
I
not going to
look
be
at-
using that title for much longer,
I
so.
know, I know. Don't remind me, I'm getting nervous. Okay, so, um, let's see, where do I start? My gosh, you know, my calendar is like really full in terms of events that I've connected, but that I've attended since our last council meeting. SCAG hosted an elected official briefing for what's going on throughout our Southern California region. Also with Angel Hernandez and his crew, the Imperial Avenue Streets Plan community meeting. So, you know, we had already attended my gosh, a Zoom meeting with the agency that's helping us with improvements to Imperial Avenue from Adams all the way down to Cruikshank. Is that correct? And so, yeah, so they're working on what they're going to, based on their observations and everything that they have, and people that they've talked to. And that was the purpose for this meeting, was to get community input on what they would like to see in terms of changes to Imperial Avenue in that particular section. So it's going to take a while before we actually see their recommendations, at least a year. But they will be having these periodic community meetings to try to get more people to attend. We had a small group, but it was a good group. And so we got some pretty good feedback. The State of the City address, what can I say? I was sitting there, and some of the segments just kind of gave me chills, because, we really have accomplished quite a bit in a year. And like our Madam Mayor puts it, our city is on fire. And so,
Not active fire, Chief Bernal.
No, not literally, okay? So, let's see. My gosh. well, the police department groundbreaking, I was so proud to see some of the support that we have from other law enforcement agencies from throughout the county. The Border Patrol was there. I'm sure the Department of Homeland Security was there. I mean, I'm trying to picture, the whole event, but, that was pretty significant, the support that we're getting from, not only the law enforcement community, but also the community as a whole for this new state-of-the-art police station that we will soon have. It's just like, and so I congratulate all of, Mr. Campos, Chief Sawyer, and everyone that spoke at that event, and, what this really means to the city of El Centro, because I think that station was there even before I was born. So, and I'm the oldest on the council, so that kind of gives you an idea of, how old that station is, so that we're all looking forward to seeing, the finished product. So then Councilmember Garcia, as he mentioned, we attended the National League of Cities Conference, and I had the honor of actually speaking as a panelist, and this was a panel discussion on infrastructure grant winners and how they won those, and it was really focused on the current president's administration, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and so we learned that the El Centro Elementary School District was awarded a federal grant. However, because they had also applied for a state funding that was competing, and so they did not accept the federal funding. But then we also learned that the Central Union High School District applied for state funding to develop a fleet of electric buses. So they were awarded over $3 million. They plan to purchase 8 buses with the funding, but seeking additional funding is still yet to come, because then they have to set up all of the infrastructure, such as the charging stations and also the workforce development, because this is a whole new fleet of electric buses, and we have to have a trained workforce in order to be able to work with them and operate those buses. So I would like to thank Mr. Arnold Preciado, who I've known for quite a few years. He is the Assistant Superintendent of Business and Support Services at Central Union High School District, for providing the responses, and I would have to say very thorough responses to the questions that they provided to us to prepare to present at this session. So I also was able to get feedback from the organizers of this session, and so although not everybody participates in the surveys, but the responses that they did get were excellent remarks in terms of I guess what our recommendations were to those in attendance at that particular session, and what it really takes to pursue funding and how challenging it is, and and all of the obstacles that they have to overcome in order to get a proposal submitted to get that. So it is a huge accomplishment once you do get the funding, and I'm sure Adriana can relate to that. So and Mr. Campos, because we all rely on funding from whether it be the state or the federal level. And so I do have to say that the entertainment at that conference was just superior. I know Mr. Garcia over there kind of threw me off a little bit when he told me that at the reception when they for the incoming president of the National League of Cities, Mr. Dave Sanders, who is from Rancho Cordova, I noticed that when we walked into the ballroom, there was equipment for a live band to play, and then he says, I go, oh, so they're going to have a live band? He goes, yeah. He goes, the Eagles are playing. I'm like, what? The Eagles? I go, you mean like the Eagles? And then he says, yeah, actually it's a cover band, but But
that's just
I'm
wrong.
not kidding. I'm not kidding. If you were to close your eyes, you would have sworn that you were listening to the Eagles play live. They were fantastic. They're from Canada. And so they were traveling throughout the United States. So Ari and I actually went and spoke to a couple of the band members and said they were going to be flying out to Pittsburgh the next evening. But at the general session I've lost track of the days. On Thursday, our keynote speaker at the general session was, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with the celebrity chef Jose Andres. He's a Spaniard, and he travels the world to places that have been devastated by natural disasters and into war zones to feed people. And so he's so passionate about what he does. And I mean, at one point, Mr. Garcia and I were sitting at the very front row because I don't like to have distractions. So, man, he stood up and it's like, one thing that, coming from another country, that he says that, and it wasn't that he was criticizing the United States. That he just says, there's a lot of planning that goes into this. It's just, but his message was, you know what, just do it. And so, he was extremely inspirational, and I just, I was so like in awe because I've seen so many documentaries on him and him speak on television shows on TV, and it's just, wow. I can't believe that we actually got to see him. And, but that still doesn't top the National League of Cities Conference 2 years ago when President Biden was our keynote speaker. So I'm still in awe. I came back a little sick, but tired and sick, but gosh, what an experience. I just have to say it was a fantastic experience. So I was proud to have been there to represent our small town. So.
Wonderful. Thank you. I know it says here task force reports, but I think my report's really about giving thanks. And I will tell you, the state of the city, I am just so proud of the great work that is really being provided from our department heads. We come up with a work plan, very strategic about priorities and projects that we want to put forth for the year. That's a responsibility we carry with the strategic planning, but it's the day-to-day operations to making sure those projects take place. So really, the state of the city was an opportunity to showcase the great work that is being provided here at the city of El Centro. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for just choosing to work for the city of El Centro and all the projects when we talk about quality of life, when we talk about leaving a legacy in our community. I congratulate you all for the great work that you do. And I was just in that moment, I was just so proud to know that I'm part of your team. So thank you so much. And if we can please have a round of applause on behalf of our council. Thank you. So that I don't duplicate too many of the services, of course, our groundbreaking ceremony. Congratulations, Chief Sawyer, and to your team. The ribbon cutting at McGee Park. I will tell you, somewhere we had to fit in a program while pickleball players were at playing. And let me tell you, they did not want to stop playing. It's pretty competitive. I also heard there was a challenge in place. And I hear that the pickleball challenge is the El Centro Police Department versus the El Centro Fire Department.
Oh my gosh.
So that's going to be interesting. It's all for a good cause. So we're excited about that. The multipurpose court, absolutely beautiful. The lighting, right, is just phenomenal. When we talk about making sure that we're providing equity and resources across our city, it truly is just an amazing project that's been completed. So I invite you all to have an opportunity. It's bright, bright orange and blue, and it just makes you happy. It truly is a sunshine area. Absolutely great. And Miss Adriana, we thank you for the great work and all staff for completing that project. Veterans Day, Buckland Park, absolutely a place to be respected and to thank our veterans and to thank them for their service and to always remember the great service that they have done for our country. I say one of the biggest casualties that could happen to a veteran is to be forgotten. So our city of El Centro makes sure that we provide that day as an opportunity to celebrate our veterans. Also had the opportunity as on ICTC as a transportation commissioner. I went to the ribbon cutting ceremony with our city manager for the expansion of the bridge at the Calexico East Port of Entry that has added additional lanes, both pedestrian and for automobiles. So that was a great opportunity. And back to the segment of giving thanks on Saturday, had the opportunity to attend the Hate Stops Here. Chief Sawyer, thank you so much for the wonderful information. It was a community event that allowed community members to really learn and have awareness about hate crimes, domestic violence, and bullying. One, what is it? Two, how to prevent it, and the resources that are available should anyone be experiencing those issues. The other item that really touched my heart in giving thanks is to the flying doctors. So doctors came in from all different areas throughout the United States. We were there at Alternative Education, which is right across the street from ARC Imperial Valley, and they took 2 classrooms and converted one section into a dental clinic. So they brought in 10 dental chairs and were able to provide on-site dental services to veterans and other community members who needed medical services. On the other side, they had an optical clinic that allowed individuals to come in, have an eye exam, and they actually walked away with already a prescription glasses. So everything was on site. These doctors that came in just were phenomenal. And I think the part that I'm most proud of is that it was community. We had nurses that were part of the IVC nursing program, San Diego State nursing program, and many local nurse practitioners that came in and volunteered their work. We had over 25 resource tables there at Alternative Education providing information. And again, City of El Centro was present. There was a resource table that was being provided there to share information about the services and the programs that we have for the City of El Centro. My third event on Saturday was Cody's Closet. I had never experienced Cody's Closet. It was their 3rd annual bedding event. And what it did is it provided 100 beds to 100 youth who were in need. So it provided a mattress, a box spring, all the bedding, shoes, jacket, snacks, a backpack, a sweater. It just provided all the resources that we can think that are essential, right, for any youth to feel respected and to feel loved and cared for. And it was an amazing event. Again, City of El Centro was present at that event. Our explorers had the opportunity they were paired off with one of the youth that was there, and so they got to spend the day with them. They got to pick out their bed with them. They got to pick out the bedding and all the stations that they got to visit. So our Explorer program, excellent, Chief Sawyer, was a great opportunity. 3 events in which the city was making sure that we were involved and that we were making a difference. And the last event that I'd like to share quickly is Cook-Off. The Cook-Off was on Friday. It was myself versus Miss Madam Mayor Katie from Imperial. I had the loudest cheering section that you can think of. The mystery box. It gives you perspective. It was white rice, lentils, carrots, a bag of pasta, 2 cans of tomato, and canned peaches and canned green beans. And we had to create a meal with those items within less than an hour. So we lost by 1/10 of a point, but it was in great fun. And it just really, I think for me, it was the opportunity to have a perspective, right? When we talk about what is being provided and what is being afforded to individuals. It was at the Imperial Valley Food Bank, absolutely beautiful facility. A little stressful to have people watching you. My husband was my sous chef, but really I think he was the chef and I was the sous chef. But it was just a great event. And through Kiwanis, the Imperial Valley Food Bank was given a $4,000 donation. So it was all for a good cause. All right. Mr. Sesenia, we are at 7:50, I'm sorry, 6:55, and I will hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't repeat any of the stuff that I attended with you guys. I did have the opportunity to attend the Adult Center Thanksgiving Luncheon. That was actually a really nice event. Everybody was having a lot of fun dancing and enjoying some really good food. I mentioned before, there's food on there. So I had the opportunity to spend some time there. We also had a swearing-in ceremony. For 4 new employees. One of them is actually here tonight, which is Commander Rene McNish. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to meet him, but he's joined the closing, I think, buttoning up the 7th day of employment with the city of El Centro tonight. So we're proud to have him on board. Also, I did attend the cook-off challenge, and I must say that I did taste the food that was prepared by Madam Mayor and her team. Maybe I should say Edward and Madam Mayor. And it was really good. And I'm not saying it just to say it. I did enjoy it quite a bit. Outside of that, I want to take just a couple of minutes to thank our department heads understaffed. So Adriana and the community services staff, Angel and the community development staff, Abraham with the public works department, our engineering division, Carla Mason at the library and her staff, Carla Chaparro at finance, Dulce, human resources. We have Martha representing tonight, Chief Bernal and the fire department, Chief Sawyer and the police department, Miguel and the mighty Three Musketeers at the IT department. Definitely miss Betsy tonight. And then I also want to thank Norma and the city clerk staff, as well as the staff of the city manager's office. This week is a week to sit down and enjoy some good food. Maybe you're traveling, maybe you're spending the time with your families. I do want to remember those who are on call this week, those who are not going to be with their families during Thanksgiving, like our police officers or firefighters or EMTs and paramedics that are out there. It's extremely important to thank you guys for all the hard work you do as a city manager, as the leader of the agency, right? It is a proud moment to be able to look back at you guys and always look at the great work that you guys put together this past year, as it was showcased during our State of the City address. It's been nothing but, sunshine moments, if you would, right? So as always, we can say that on Thanksgiving Day, I can expect that the sun will shine bright in El Centro once again.
Wonderful. Thank you. Just taking this opportunity as we close our meeting, to remind the public that we will have our Christmas tree lighting event at Fire Station 3. This will be the first time we have it at Fire Station 3. It'll be December the 1st, and it will be from 5 to 9 p.m. The following day, the El Centro Christmas Parade, and that will take place on December the 2nd, starting at 10 a.m. And then our council reorganization, which will take place on December the 7th. So with that, if there is no other item on the agenda or business, we wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving. We appreciate the great work. Enjoy your family, great food, and this meeting is adjourned.